Hey, welcome back to the next video of our Node.js series. So, in the previous video, what we have discussed is how actually JavaScript works, right? We understood all the basics of JavaScript and all that stuff. In this video, what we'll be doing is we'll be actually using Node, and we'll see that in the previous video when I told that Node.js is actually Node.js can be used to basically interact with your local machine. So in this video, we'll be seeing that how you can use Node to interact with your local machine, to interact with your local files, and use them and do stuff all around that, right? So let's move on and let's see how you can use Node to interact with your local machine. Let's go. All right. So basically, there are some inbuilt packages, or I should say, there are some predefined packages. There are some predefined packages, or you can say predefined modules that are present inside Node.js, that are present inside Node.js, right? So basically, what you can do is you can use these modules to actually interact with your local machine, right? So there are so many modules. I'll just show you all those modules in a minute. But what I want to tell you is that here you can actually use all the modules to interact with the local machine. And the other thing is there can be external modules as well. Right? External modules that you can say third-party modules, right? Which you will basically be downloading, or which will you will basically be importing from a different source, right? So these are the external modules, and these are the predefined modules. Take this example as your smartphone, right? You have a smartphone, you have an Android or a Apple phone, right? So in that phone, what happens is you get some apps predefined already with your mobile phone, and then you can also use Play Store or Apple Store to download different applications. So Node.js works like that only. So it's a very vague example, I know, but it's kind of similar, right? What I want to tell you is you are understanding what I'm trying to tell you here. So basically, inbuilt predefined modules that are already present in Node.js, we can use them, and we can also use some external libraries or some external modules that are there for Node.js, which people have built. And to use that, like to download some application, you use Play Store or Apple Store. Here we have a npm, right? Here we have npm and yarn. So these are the two package managers that helps us to actually import or download packages for our system, right? For our Node application, basically. So we'll be looking at these in more detail in the upcoming videos. For now, this video will focus on how can you use the predefined modules inside the Node.js to actually interact with your local system, right? So what I'll just do is I'll just go into Google and I'll just go into Google and open this, and I'll just type here Node modules, right? So this is basically the Node modules. And in this second link, right? The second link is of common JS module. You have to open this link. So I'll pin this down in the description, right? So this is the link where you have to go, and you can see here that there are so many topics that are written here, right? And these are nothing but these are some of the packages that Node.js offers you. These are some of the modules that Node.js offers you to work with, right? So here you can see there is something called as child process, cluster, command line options, and errors, events, file system, right? And then OS path and so much more, right? So what we'll be doing is we'll be taking some of the modules from here, and we'll be discussing them one by one, which are basically in use, which are basically in more use, right? So they have more applications than the other modules here. So what are those modules here? So those modules are basically what we'll be discussing in this video are the modules that are, first module will be our child process. We'll be actually seeing how you can create a sub process from your Node script, right? This will be very interesting. Then we'll see our OS module. So OS module is basically used to tell the user about all the system specification of the operating system, right? Then we'll be moving to file system. We'll be moving to file system module, file system, or in short, we call this FS module. Right? So what FS module will help you to do is, if you're coming from a Java, C++ background, or if you're a college student, if you're a working professional in the software industry, you may have heard about this thing called as the file handling. right? So file handling is basically how you can read a file, how you can write a file, how you can write to a file, how you can create a file, and then how you can create a directory, how you can delete a directory, and all that stuff, right? So we can actually do that with this file system module inside Node, right? And the fourth package that we'll be discussing is the path module. So path module is basically what will path module will help us do? It will help us to create path for a file. It will help us to identify path of a file. It will actually help us to split your path. Like you can take out the file's name from the path. You can take out the folder's name from the path. You can take out an extension from the path, right? So all that stuff a path module will help us to do. So these are the four modules that are most generally in use in Node.js, and we'll be discussing this. And there are other modules that you can that you can actually explore on your own. They are pretty easy, and they don't have anything that's actually required to be taught, right? There are some just small methods, and you can use them, and that's it about those modules. But these four modules are the most important and the most in use module in Node.js. So we'll be discussing them one by one. So let's go into our VS Code, let's go into our IDE, and we'll just start with the first module, that is the child process module. And we'll look at it in brief, that how child process works, right? Let's go. What I'll do here is I'll just create a folder and I'll call this node internal packages or internal modules, right? And inside this folder, we'll be discussing all about our node internal packages, right? So first of all, what we'll be discussing we'll be discussing child process. So what I'll do is I'll just name this one underscore cp.js so that we can know this is the file for our child process. I'll be also pushing this to a GitHub repository, so you can later on refer the code or whatever we'll write here, right? So let's close these files and let's just focus on this. So as I said that these are modules. So to actually use modules, what you have to do is you have to actually import those modules, right? So there are two methods. There is one import and there is one require. So what we're doing, we'll be going the orthodox way. We'll use the require method to actually import a module, right? So we have to import child process. So what we'll do is we'll just say const cp. So this is a variable that I have created, right? A constant variable. And in this variable, what I'll do is I'll just say require, and inside this require I'll pass child process. And how you can require this child process, how you can get this child process, child underscore process. So when you will write this, what Node.js will find is Node.js will actually find that if it has some module like this, and if it had a module like this, it will actually import this for you. So now in this variable, you can see it has turned into green. So now in this variable, what you can do is this variable actually has all the reference to the methods of the child process. So by using this variable, we can actually use the methods of child process, right? So first of all, what is child process? So we understood that how you can import a module in Node.js, or require a module in Node.js, or anything you can say, right? So we have imported it, but what is actually child process? What will child process do? So the main purpose of child process is it will actually help you to create sub processes within a script, right? It will actually help you to create sub processes within a script. So what you can do is you can actually write some processes here, and your script will run those processes for you in your local machine, right? So let's try this once, right? So what I'll do is I'll just say that we need to open calculator from our script. So how you can open calculator? How do you open calculator? You will go here and you will say calculator, right? You will do this and the calculator will open. Or if you know command line, command, so what you'll do, you'll just say calc, and that will open for you, and that will open a calculator for you. So these are some ways to open calculator. But what happens if we need to open the calculator, if we need to open the calculator from our script? So we can do that by using child process, right? So let's see how we can do that. So I'll just console log, and I'll just log a statement that trying to open calculator, trying to open calculator, right? So trying to open calculator. So there is a method that is known as exec sync. There is a method which child process provides us, that is an exec, that is the method exec sync. So what we'll do is we'll just type cp dot exec sync, cp.exec sync, and inside this we have to pass the command that you use. We have to pass the command that you use to open a specific application, like we are opening a calculator. So what we'll have to pass is we'll just have to pass calc inside of here. We'll just have to pass calc inside of here, and if this executes, we'll just show the message that calculator opened. Right? So let's just give it a run now. So what we'll do is we'll just open it in a new terminal, and we'll say node. Let me just make this a little small, and we'll just type here node and files name. So that is one cp.js, right? We'll run this code. Let's just run this code. Trying to open calculator, and here is your calculator, and it shows the message calculator opened. Right? So this is the calculator that we opened from our node script by using child process, right? By using child process. So there are multiple things here that you can do. You can also open your browser. You can also redirect your script to a new website, right? So let's just try that also. So what we can do here is let me just say cp.exec_sync, and to open any browser, there is a command known as start, right? There's a command known as start. So what we'll do is we'll just go here, we'll say start Chrome. That's it. We just have to do that. So let me just comment this for a while now. Right. So we'll just say cp.exec_sync start Chrome. Now let's see what our file will do. So if we do that, see, my Chrome browser has opened here, right? My Chrome browser has opened here. Not only this, you can actually start your browser and you can redirect this command to a new website also, right? So what we can do is, let me just go and grab Scaler's website. So I'll just go here, I'll say Scaler, not this one, right? So this is our website, Scaler by InterviewBit. So let's just try and take this link for an example, and we'll take this link. I'll just copy this link and I'll come and I'll paste it here, right, inside our file start Chrome and inside this link. And right, start Chrome, and Chrome redirect us to this link, right? So let's just see if we can open Scaler from our Node.js file now, Node.js script now. We'll just run this, and now you can see that it has opened another website, right? This was opened by me, and this our script has opened, right? So by using these tools, by using these methods, you can perform sub processes, you can perform these kind of stuff, right? But child process is not only this. Child process is not only this. There's so much more inside child process. That are some there are some fork methods, there are some spawn method, but they're a little advanced topic to understand right now. So what we'll be doing is we'll be covering child processes up till here now, so that you can have an idea. You get an idea, right? That how you can actually see what we are doing here is we are using a module to actually interact with our local machine. We are opening our local machine's calculator. We are giving a command to our local machine that open browser, redirect us to this website, and all that stuff, right? So in this way, actually, child process is working. So I just wanted you to brief on child process about you, and later on we can actually see that how spawn, how poke, and all that method works. Uh, yeah, so we'll see that, right? So this is child process. You can actually go through child process. You can actually execute different methods, whatever you will find, right? Different commands. Find different commands at how to open this, how to open that, and what else you can do. Another thing you can actually do with child processes. You can actually run another file inside this file, right? Inside the script. With this script, you can actually run another file. So let me just show you once that. So what I'll do is that for just test purposes, inside this folder, I'll just create a test.js file, right? Test.js file, and inside this, I will just say console log, and I'll just enter test file says hi. So basically what we can do is, this is our test file. This is our test file, and we can simply just go and we can run this from our terminal. So what we'll do, I'll just say test.js, and you will see that test file says hi. This is pretty simple. But what if we need to run this file from our child process script, right? As we told you that child process will create subprocesses for you. So what if we need to include this test.js as a subprocess in our child process, and we need to run this file from this file, right? So there is an option. As we were executing all this stuff, as we are executing all this stuff, so in the same way, we can do this also. We can do this also. So what I'll just do is I'll just say console.log to just show you the message, right? And I'll say this is my output. And here I'll just say cp.execsync. Here I'll just say cp.execsync. And inside this, I'll just pass the command that we use to run a file. So if we want to run this test.js, what we'll do is we'll just say node test.js, right? So I'm passing this command right over here. What it will do is it will actually try to execute this command, and it will actually show you the output, right? So let me just go and add this, and let's see if it happens. Right, so I'll just run cp.js, and let's see that if it gives the output of test.js or not. So I'll just go here. Let me just comment this for a while, and I'll run this file again. So see, output test file says hi, right? There is no space in between. So let me just add a space and an arrow, so it will show you clearly. So now you can see output is test file says hi. So what you're doing is you're basically running another file from our script, right? From the child process script by using child process. So this is how you can actually use child process. So yeah, it is pretty interesting. You can also explore this on your own. You can go and you can read about child process. Right? So I'll keep it short. I'll keep it up till here. So right. So this is the child process module. Now, next module will be our OS module. So let's move to OS module. Okay, so what I've done here is I've created a file 2_os.js, and inside this file we'll be actually discussing about how OS module will work, right? So what is OS module? OS module is just a module that will actually help you to get all the information about your system specification, right? Your operating system specification. So what are all those information? There can basically what is your architecture? What are your network interfaces? What are the system specification of your CPUs, right? And all that kind of stuff, right? What platform are you working on, and all that kind of stuff. So to get the information, we can use this OS module. So let's just try and let's just see how we can use it. So first of all, we will be requiring the module. So what we're doing, we will be doing a const OS equal to require OS. And then, and then we'll go and we'll see. There are some very small methods. There are just some methods that we have to use, and we'll get all the information about our system. So let's just see that. First of all, let's just try and let's just get that what architecture I'm working on currently. What is the architecture of my system right now? So let's just see, and we'll just say os dot arc. This is a method that will actually get you the information about the architecture. So I'll just write here architecture. So let's just run this file now. Node to os.js. So as I run this code, you can see x64. So my architecture right now is x64, right? So this is how you can get the architecture of your computer, right? It will actually show you 64, 32, whatever your architecture is. Then we can go and then we can see another method that will actually tell you the platform that you are on, right? So let me just say os.platform. So there are just simple by name methods that will actually tell you the information about that particular topic or that particular category, right? So if I run this, so the first thing is the architecture that I'm working on. The second thing is the platform that I'm working. So I'm working on a Win32 platform. Right? So this will actually tell you about the platform. Well, the method is self-explanatory, but still I'll write it. Then what other method we can use here is we can actually use console log, and we can say os dot network interfaces. So this is a method that is network interface. And network interface will actually give you the information about the network you're on right now, right? So let me just run this again, and this is my network information right now. So I'll get the address, IP addresses, netmasks, family, MAC address, internal, CIDR, and all that stuff, right? So basically, when you're doing some networking stuff, so you can actually use this network interface to get an idea about the networking of that particular system. And then there is one other method that you can use, which will basically tell you about all the CPU specification of your system. So you can just say os.cpus, and you can call this method. So this will actually tell you all everything about your CPU, right? So let me just run this again and show you. So I'll just say node 2 and run this. So here it is. So here it is the information about my CPU, that the model is AMD Ryzen 7 and with this much of graphics. This is the speed, this is the time, and all that stuff like that, right? So this is basically how you can use your OS module to get information about your system. There are a lot of application about this OS module. So basically, when you're shifting your application to another system, and if you want to check that if that application is actually capable of running on that system or not, if it meets the system specification requirements or not, you can use this OS module to check for that. And there are also several other applications that you'll get to know later. So yeah, so this was the second module that we needed to discuss, right? So what it is doing, it is also actually interacting with your local system and getting the information about the system, right? So the first library was basically, the first module was child process module, and the second module is the OS module. Now we'll move to the most important module and the most lengthy module of Node.js, that is the FS, file system module, and we'll be starting with file handling now. Okay, so let's start. All right. So let's start with our FS module, right? So what will FS module help us to do? It will help us to handle our local files, right? We can read, we can write, we can append, we can do all that stuff. Let's see one by one what all we can do with FS module. So what I'll do, I'll just go here, I'll create a new file, I'll say 3 fs.js, the similar thing that we are doing here, right? And in this file, we'll be writing all the code related to our FS module. So let's just start. So the first thing is we again need to require this. So I'll just say const fs equal to require fs, right? And now we can use this fs module and we can do pretty much anything that this package offers. Okay, now first thing in fs module that we'll be understanding is how you can actually read, write, update, and delete your file, right? So these four things that we'll be seeing, that how can we actually do these four things with our files. So what I'll do, I'll just go here and I'll create some demo files here. This will be just test files. So I'll just say f1.txt is our first file, and inside this I'll write I am f1 data, I am data of f1, and we can create more files, f2.txt, and here we can say I am data of file f2, and then we'll create one more file and we'll say f3.txt, and inside this file I'll say I am data of f3. So in this way we have created three files, and we'll be doing all the methods and all these applications, all this basically everything that fs offers will be doing over these files, right? We'll be applying all over these files and we'll see how that will work. Now first of all, what we were discussing about is, first we'll try and we'll see how to read, write, delete, and update a file. These are the first four things that we'll be seeing, that how can we do this with the help of fs module. So let's start. So inside this fs module, we have some methods, we have some predefined methods that Node.js has given us, and we can use those methods and we can just do all our stuff. So what I'll do is I'll just say let content, I'll create a variable that is known as with the name content, and inside this I'll use fs dot read file sync method. Notice here you will actually see two methods. One is read file and one is read file sync. So for now, what you have to do is you have to use this read file sync method, right? Because this read file sync, if you go over this, right, if you go over this, you will see something that this is asynchronously reads this asynchronously reads the entire content of file. And up till now, we haven't even touched asynchronous JavaScript. So I'll not suggest you to go and use this method right now, because you'll not understand that how asynchronously JavaScript is working, because we'll be moving to that a little later on. So what method you have to use is you have to use read file sync, and inside this you just have to pass your file's name. You just have to pass your file's name. So suppose that we want to read this f1.txt. So what I'll do, I'll just pass f1.txt inside. That's it, because I'm just passing the file's name, because this script and this file are in the same folder, right? If they're in the other folder, you'll basically have to give the relative path to that, right? So let content equal to fs.read file saying f1.txt. So this is my file that I want to read, and here I'll just console log the content that I have received, So I'll just say output, or I'll just say data of file1 is file1, and I'll concatenate this with the data, the content that I have received, right? Like this. So what this method will do is this method will actually read this file, and and will store the content in this content variable. And when we see the content variable, we should see the data of this file, right? So basically the first thing what we're doing is we are reading the file. We're reading the file, right? Let's just run this script and see if we can read the file and if we are getting the output or not. So I'll just say 3 fs.js, and here you can see data of file1 is I am data of f1, and inside this f1 you can also see I am data of f1. So this output is basically coming. So the first thing what we did here is we read the file. We read one file, right? Okay, so this part is over. Reading a file is over. Right? Now how can we write into a file? So the second thing will be which we'll be seeing is writing into a file. So let's see that how can we write into a file. So as we have read file sync for reading a file, we have a method known as write file sync for writing into a file. All right. So let's just try and see how that we can do. So what I'll do is I'll just say fs.write file sync. I'll just use this method, and inside this method I'll pass whatever the file name in which I want to write. So I'll just say I want to write in f2.txt. But what do you need to write? If you are saying that I want to write in this file, you will have to provide the data that you want to be written into that file. All right. So this actually accepts a second argument, that is your data that you want to write. So I'll just say this is the data we want to write. Suppose I'm passing some data like this here. Okay. So now let's see if that has happened. I'll just say console log and I'll say data written, right? Okay, so now I'll just comment this for a while and we'll see this much code, that if we are able to write in a file or not. So what I'll do, I will open this in integrated terminal. I'll say node fs.3fs.js and I'll just enter this. Okay, so data written, right? We got the message data written, and let us check f2.txt. So if we check f2.txt, we'll see this the data we want to write. This is the data we want to write basically. So this is the data we want to write. Let's just run this again. So now you can see this is the data we want to write, and we pass this as our data to be written, right? So in this way you can actually write into a file. Not only this, but what if you pass something, you pass a file that does not exist, right? So f4, I am passing f4.txt here, and this does not exist over here. So what it will do is, right, it will actually create a new file and it will write a data into it, right? So let's just check this for this also. So this is the data we want to write in f4. I'll just say it like that. Okay, and let's just run fs fs file again. data written, and you can see a new file has been created here with the data we wanted it to have, right? So in this way, you can use write file sync to write inside a file, and if you pass another file that does not exist, it will actually create a new file and would write your data into that. So this is how you can actually write. So this is the reading thing, and this is a writing thing. Now, so read and write, we have covered these both things, that how you can read a file, you can write into a file. Now let's just talk about updating a file. Let's just talk about updating. Okay. So here, to update a file, there's a method known as append file sync. As you know, read file sync, write file sync. There is a method known as append file sync that will actually help you to update your file. Right? It will actually help you to update your file. Okay, so if you see, if you have noticed that write file sync, it was actually overriding all the data at once, right? So if what I will say is, I'll just say this is F2 data. I'll say this is F2 data. But if I run this script now for F2 with write file sync method, what the write file sync does is it actually overrides the data with the new data that we are passing. If I run this code here, right, so it will actually override all the data here, right? It will make it complete brand new. But append file is basically to update an existing file. So what it will do is it will actually update to the previous existing file, it will not overwrite everything. So let's just check this, right? Append file sync, we'll be discussing this method, append file sync, and here what I'll say is update a file. All right, let's just try that now. So what we'll be doing is we'll just the same as we are using write file sync, we have to use append file sync as the same, right? So fs.append file sync, and I want to append inside this fourth file. I'll say this is the data we want to write in F4, and I'll just say f4.txt, and I'll say this is the data we want to append. This is the data we want to append. Now let's just run this file and see if we are able to update this file or not, right? So what we'll be doing is we'll just go here and we'll just run this code again. Data written. So let's go and let's see f4.txt. So you can see this is the data we want to write in F4, and then we actually added some more to append this. So this is the data we want to append. So we are basically able to read, write, update, and now the last thing that remains is that how you can actually delete a file. And that's pretty simple as well. You can just use one method that is known as unlink sync. This works for both. This works for a directory as well as this works for a file. So we'll just pass our file name. Suppose I want to delete this f3.txt. I don't want this here, so I can just pass f3. That's it. And if I just do this, and I'll say file f3 deleted, I'll just log a message, and then I'll just run this code again, and let's see that if this file gets deleted or not. F3 file deleted, and you can see there is no F3 now. So in this way, what you can do is you can work with your local files. You can read them, you can write them, you can get their data, you can append them, you can delete them, and we are all doing this with the help of Node.js and with this FS module, right? So this is basically your FS module. But not only this, there is some more things that you can do with the FS module. We have actually talked about files now, and there are things that you can do with directories also. So we'll be discussing that next, that how you can use FS module to actually work with directories, that means folders, right? So let's just go and let's just see that. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just go here, I'll say directories. So we'll be discussing about directories now. Here we have discussed about files, and now we'll be discussing about directories. So inside directories, you can also do a lot of stuff with FS module, right? You can create a directory, you can remove a directory, you can check whether a directory exists or not, you can copy file from one directory to another directory. We will be seeing all of that now. So first of all, let's just see how you can create a directory with using fs module. So inside this fs module, there is a method that is known as make directory sync, right? So we'll be using that method. So I'll say fs dot make directory sync, and inside this make directory sync, what you have to do is you have to just pass the name of your directory. That's it. You have to just pass the name of your directory, that I want this name for my directory. I will call it my directory, and you can, and I'll just console log for a message that directory created, right? And we can just run this. So for now, I'll just comment all this code, and we'll just focus on this for a while. So make directory, my directory, console.log directory created. Let's just see that if we can create a directory or from this or not. All right. So what we are doing here is we are creating a directory. Creating a directory, right? Let's just see. So what I'll do is I'll just go and I'll run this code. So I'll open the terminal. Here we were running the code, and let's just run this directory created. And you can see inside Node Internal Module, there is a folder that has been created. There is a directory that has been created with the name my directory. That is basically this, right? So in this way, you can actually create a directory, right? Now let's see that if you that how you can remove a directory. We have created a directory, and then there is a method that is remove directory sync that will actually help you to remove a directory as well. So what I'll do is fs dot remove directory, remove directory sync, and inside this remove directory sync, let's just delete this directory only that we have created right now. So I'll just comment this out so that it does not get created again, and because it will actually give error, right? Because the directory name already exists, so it will not create a new directory for me, so it will throw an error. That's why I'm actually commenting it out for now, and I'll just pass my directory here. So this method will actually delete the directory from here. All right. So let's just go and let's just run this. So here we were running the code, I guess, in this terminal, and we'll just run this. So now you can see after running this code, the directory has been deleted from here. There is no my directory that exists, right? So this is how you can actually create a directory. You can remove a directory. But not only this, there are so many other things that you can do. Like you can actually check for a directory, that if the directory exists here or not, right? If the directory will actually be passing a path, and in that path the directory exists or not, we can actually check for that as well, right? So let's just see if a directory exists or not, and for that, to check whether a directory or a file. So this method which we are going to discuss, it will actually work for a file, and it will work for a directory as well, to check whether a directory or a file exists or not. What we can do is we can use this exist sync method. So let's just try and use that, how we can use exist sync method here. So what I'll do is I'll just say let does exist equal to fs.exist sync, and inside this exist sync, I'll just pass one file name. I'll say f1.txt. So what exist sync returns is, exist sync returns true or false based on if this file exists or not. So you can see that f1.txt exists here. So what it should return, it will return true. I'll just console log the does exist here. And now let's run this code. Node. Alright, so this is throwing some error because remove directory. Okay, let me just comment this as well. And now let's run. Console is not a function. Okay, it's console.log. I'm sorry. So now you can see this is basically returning true because f1.txt exists. But if I pass f7.txt here, what do you think? What should be the output? It should obviously give false. So it will give you false, right? So this is a way in which you can check if a file or a directory. You can also pass a directory path over here, and you can check if that directory exists or not, right? So this is a method that will actually help you to determine that if a particular file or a directory exists on the particular given path, right? So this is how you can use this existing method. Then next, what we can do is we can actually create a directory. I'll just create a directory over here. For example, I just create test directory or demo directory, and inside this directory, okay, the spelling is wrong, directory. All right. And inside this directory, what I'll do is I'll just pass some files from here. I'll just say F4, F2, F1, or F4. I'll just pass all these files inside this directory. Right? I'll just pass this inside this directory. So now this demo directory consists of all these files. Now we also have a method that can actually tell us that what does a directory consist of. What does a directory consist of? That if we want to see that if this directory consists this or that file or this directory, right? So we can actually do that also. So for that we can actually use the method read directory sync. So let me just go ahead and show you that how I can use it. So what you have to do is you have to pass the folder path. You have to pass the folder path inside of this method. Let me just grab the folder path at first. So I'll just say folder path equal to, what I'll do is I'll just grab the path of this particular directory. So what I'll say, I'll just copy the path and I'll paste the path over here, right? So this is the path, and this path needs to be incorporated inside a string. So what I'll do is I'll create a string and I will just put it inside a string. So this is the path. This is the path. But in Node.js, there is one thing that you have to do. You have to add one more slash over here. You will have to add one more slashes over here, right? With a single slash path, it won't work. So what you'll have to do is, with this backslashes, what you have to do is you have to add one more slash, right? So this is basically required in Node.js, right? So this is now the path of my folder, and now I want to check that what all these folder consist of, what all this folder consists of. So I'll just say let folder contents equal to fs dot read directory sync, and inside this read directory sync, I'll just pass this folder path so that this method will know that on which folder to check for content. And now let's just console these contents, folder contents. Let us see if we can get all the contents or not. I'll just comment this code out for now and we'll focus on this part. So I'll go to fs.js and I'll run this code. So now you can see in an array like structure, not in an array like structure, but this is an actual array, right? This is an actual array. Inside this array, it has actually presented us with the content of that file, content of that directory. So inside this directory, you have F1, F2, F4. So you have this F1, F2, and F4 inside of an array, right? So read directory sync will actually give you the content, will actually get all the content from you that are inside a folder that you have passed. This is how read directory sync works. So there are a lot of things that you can do with fs module. You can actually read a directory, you can go to a file, you can check whether the file exists or not, read, write, update, delete, make directory, remove directory, and you can do all those sort of things, right? So let's just perform a little activity. Let's just perform it. Before performing that activity, let's just go and study what the path module is, right? What the path module is, and then we'll actually combine fs and path, and we'll perform a small activity of copying a file from one folder to another folder with the help of a script, right? So let's just go and let's just see how the path module works now. All right. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I will just create a new file over here, and I'll say path.js, and inside this file, okay, let's just do it for, okay, path.js, and inside this file will be discussing about a path module. So what I'll do is I'll just say const path equal to require path. That's it. And now let's see what all we can do with the path module. We have seen child process, we have seen OS, we have seen FS. Now let's see path. All right. So the path module is basically, it will actually help you to actually get a path of a directory, get extension name, get base name, and all that kind of stuff. So let me just show you how how all this is done. So imagine that you have this file. Imagine that you have this file test.js and you have its path. I'll just copy its path and I'll just save it, that file path. Inside this file path variable, I'll save this path, and in Node.js we have to add one slash more. I'll just add slashes here. So this is basically the path that we have. Now what we need to do is, suppose you have to get the extension of this particular file, right? This is the file name and this is the extension. So path name has some different methods that can help you achieve all that, right? So what you can do is, let's just say let extension name, I'll say extension name equal to, what I'll do, I'll just use path.ext name method, path.ext name method, and inside this ext name method, I'll just pass the file path. I'll just pass the file path. So what ext name will do is, it will actually get this file's extension name. So let's just see console.log the extension name, right? And now we can use it here. Open integrated terminal, you can say node path.js. So now you can see .js. So .js is the extension of this particular file. Right? Not only this, you can also get base name. So base name is basically the whole file's name, right? So if I just copy this code only and change the method with base name, change the method with base name, or I'll say file name, right? And the method is base name. So it will actually get the base name from here. It will actually get the base name from here. Okay, this is test.js, right? And what I'll print here is, I'll print the file name over here. Right? So let's just see, and let's just see what the output is. So node for path.js. So now here you can see the second output is of your file name test.js. So in this way you can actually use your path module to get some data out of a big path like this, right? So what is the file name, what is the extension name, and all that, you can do that, all that stuff, right? So in this way you can do this. Next thing that that I want to discuss is how you can actually go. Okay, so you must be thinking that, okay, we are doing all this, but what is the application of all this, right? So let me just show you a very little application of using path module and FS module, and doing a little activity with it. So what we'll be doing is, we'll be combining FS module and we'll be combining path module, and we'll try and we'll take and we'll copy a file from one folder to another, to one directory to another. So what I'll do is, I'll just go into this FS module once, and here we'll perform the activity. So let's just say copying a file from one directory to another. So basically, if I ask you that if you want to copy a file from one directory to another, what all do you need? So first of all, you need two directories, right? One will be your source directory and one will be your destination directory. Exactly. So one will be your source and one will be your destination. So I'll just create two directories over here. I'll just create two directories over here. So let me just create two directories over here first. Okay, so as our source directory, we will use the demo directory because it has some files, so we can pick some files from here. So this we can use as our source directory, and here we will create a new file that will be our my directory, or I'll say destination directory. Destination dir, destination directory. So from demo directory, we'll be picking one file. Suppose we'll be picking f1.txt, we'll be selecting this, we'll be copying this to destination directory, right? So this is our activity we have to perform. So let me just say let source directory path. The source directory path is basically, the source is our demo directory. So we'll just copy the path from here and we'll paste this over here, and we'll add some slashes that we have to do in Node.js, right? We'll do this. All right. Then what we can do is we need our destination directory. So what we'll do, we'll just say destination path. destination dir path. So the destination dir path will be the destination directory path. So we'll just copy the path from here and we'll paste this over here, and we'll just add slash. Just a second. Okay. So we have these two paths with us now. We have to pick one file from this source path and we have to add this to this destination directory path. How we can do that? How we can do that? So it's pretty much simple. That what will you need to do is you will actually need to get the path of the actual file. So tell me this: if I do just this here, if this is the path of our f1.txt, correct? Right now, what we need to do is we need to get the file name out of here. We need to add this file name in this directory. So now that we have the path which will actually contain this file, and then in this link or in this path, we can actually go and we can copy our file. So the process to do it is we can actually take out this file's name. So what will we do is let file to be copied name, and we can use our path module over here. So let me just quickly go and grab the path. And then we can start with our work. So file to be copied name. How can we get the name of the file? We can just go and we can get the name from path.base name, and in this path.base name, what we can pass? We can pass the source file path. Let's just say this is the source file path. We'll just pass our source file path here, and it will give us the name. So it will give us the name, and the name is f1.txt. Right? Now what we can do is we can actually define a destination path for this. And how we can define a destination path for this? I told you this is the folder, and if we can do something like this over here, dynamically, that will help us to create a path for this file, right? But right now it is like this. Okay. So what we can do over here is we can just go, okay, yeah. So we can just go into this destination path and we can say path.join. The join method will actually take 2 arguments and it will join it and make a complete path, right? So what we can do is we can pass this destination directory first. And with this destination directory, we can pass our file's name that need to be copied, So now what it will do is it will take this whole path and it will add the file name behind this. So you have a complete path now. You have a complete path where you can actually go and you can copy your file, right? We have a path. Now what you just need to do is you can just use a method from fs module, that is copy file sync. And with this method accepts 2 things: source file path, destination path. So we have this source file path over here that take the file from this source and copy it to this destination path. That's it. And now let me just say console.log, and we can say that file has been copied. Let's just run this now. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just go into our fs module and we'll just run this code for now. So okay, node 3 file has been copied. Right now let's just open our destination directory, and inside this destination directory you can see f1.txt exists here now, right? So basically a file has been copied from one path to another. So we have basically here we have done the copy functionality, and now what I'll do is I'll just ask you to do one thing, that make it a cut functionality. You can actually make a cut functionality out of it. What you have to just do, that you have to just delete this file from inside this directory. And how you can do that, you can actually unlink that. So I'll leave it up to you that now you may have understood it, that you can do that for you can do that by your own, right? So these are all the modules that are very important inside Node.js, that has some great applications, right? So what we have discussed is, we have discussed child process, we have discussed OS module, we have discussed file system module, we discussed path module, and we also saw a little activity that how you can actually make them into use, right? So yeah, this is it for this video, and I hope you liked the video. And if you like the video, do subscribe to our channel, because in this series we'll be doing some more advanced stuff with Node.js, and also other lots of stuff are coming into our channel. Do subscribe to Scaler. We'll see you on the next video. This is Mrinal signing off. Thank you.